Hi everyone, good evening.
Good
Okay,
evening, sir.
just log in this one. Let it start 2 minutes, guys. Let me upload. So let me just check that issue once, what we have seen in the previous class, right? About the jar for faker library. So let me just check that alone. That is not working, we'll go with another scenario. Let me run this first. Let me run the classroom setup. Let me go to cluster libraries. Let me install this. ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಕಂತದನಲ್ಲಿ. So we'll see whether it will be installed or not. We'll wait for 2 minutes.
Sir, I have a doubt. So whenever we install any library, we are selecting our active cluster, right, sir?
Yes.
So suppose if I came back tomorrow because our cluster is no longer active. So again, so the same set of library we need to again install in our current cluster, is it?
Yes, yes. You need to install the same thing. Whenever, see, this is development, right? You are doing here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for development, you need to add, but in production, what do we do, right? When you configure this you are going to configure this cluster configuration in any either Azure Data Factory or you are calling this notebook through anything. So that time you need to pass this library script to install in the library. So you need to have that code. Okay.
Okay. So first the cluster will start, and then that script supposed to execute, which
Yeah.
installed all the library.
Yes. Yes.
So do we have any such kind of notebook where we do such thing?
No, you can see. You can just add that library. That's it. It is spelling no model called faker model. So the model is not executing here. Let me see the faker library thing once. Because it is not executing the library. I'm not sure why. Might be some issue with the Databricks Community Edition or cluster restrictions might be. Because earlier we have didn't face this issue. Let me just check the faker library version. What is the version? So Databricks runtime, this is the one. Python, that is fine. It's faker library 7.4.0. Let me try to go with import library here. Sorry, create library. So let me give Python here. 17.4.0. Let me try this latest one. What is happening? Let me try this version, current version. This option does not work on clusters with runtime versions. Okay. Saying it's runtime managed library install failed. Okay, let me instead of faker library, we'll go with direct parquet files. Okay. So let me start with our thing. So before I go into that issue, so we are going to see the architecture, delta architecture. So what is this delta architecture? So if you see at the earlier discussions when we have started our thing, right? So this is the reference architecture we have, right? Okay. So if you see, this is the delta architecture we have. Okay. So this is what delta architecture. So we can get the data either from the batch or from the Azure Data Factory by using batch data, or you can get the real-time streaming data by using Azure Event Hub or IoT Hub or Kafka, Amazon Kinesis. So you can get the real-time data. So once you get the data, you are going to store into some storage location, either blob storage. So once the data is available, you are going to read the data from the blob storage, and you are going to create table called branch table. So you are going to store the data into branch table. So this is the raw data. So this is the raw data which is available in the branch table. From this table, I'm going to read the data again by using Databricks continuously, and I'm going to do some kind of joins, cleans the data, transform the data, and then finally I'm going to store the data in the silver table. From this silver table, I'll do all the aggregations which is required for business, and finally I'm going to store the data in the gold table. So I'm going to store the data in the bronze table, silver table, and gold table. This gold table will be finally accessed to the users and users. So what is the main purpose of this in the sense? You have actual data, source data that is available here, and this gold data is directly given to the uh, PowerBI or end user so that they don't need any transformation. So all the transform data that is already available with business logic. Just they need to use this data and publish the reports. So this is how the delta architecture has been designed. This is how the delta architecture has been designed. Let me go here. In architecture, we call this as multi-hop architecture. We call or delta architecture. Okay. So you have, so we can use incremental multi-hop pipeline. So we are going to describe bronze, silver, gold tables here. So we call this as a Medallion architecture or multi-hop architecture or delta architecture we can call. So it is organization data is multi-layered approach. So this is a multi-layered approach because we are going to have data in the bronze layer like this. So you ingest the raw data to the bronze table. From this table, you read the data. We're going to improve filtered, cleaning, augmented data. And finally, the gold data is aggregated data, which Power BI tools can use. So at each layer, we are going to improve the data quality. You might get data from the JSON, DBs, CSV file, or streaming data. So this is what multi-hop cluster architecture we call. So what are the benefits with this is simple data model. So we are going to apply this simple data model here and enables incremental here.
Sir, one second.
Yeah.
Sir, this in silver and gold data, what is the basic difference? I mean, like we have got the raw data, which is bronze.
Yes.
Okay. And then we will apply the some transformation as per the business law requirement.
No, not business logic. We are just going to filter the data here. We are going to apply transformation like adding column, removing
Hmm.
column, doing some
Hmm.
filter of required data. Suppose I have a table called customer table. I have
Hmm.
1,000 columns, okay, in this
Hmm.
table. But for reporting, I need only 4 or 5 columns. So I'm going to
Yeah.
select only that column. And if I have some duplicates, I'll remove duplicates. So I'm going to delete, I'm going to do simple operations here. And here once after that, so I want to find out where customer age is 65. I want to know where customer bank account is so and so balance. So if you want to do that, so you read the data from silver from the clean, because if you want to do transformation, if you want to apply all the transformations at one go to the bronze layer, it has huge data. It will take
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time, right? So this silver layer where it will perform this all the operations. So it has only the cleanser data which is required for machine learning models, which are required
Mm-hmm.
for gold. From silver layer, either you can use machine learning for doing applying machine learning models, or you can use gold. You can do all the aggregations which is required for the customer. So you can store the data in the gold table. So you can use this data for any purpose. This is cleanser data. This data can be used for multiple use cases.
Yes, sir. Actually, my question was that this the purpose of this three layer actually one is already bronze. I understood. So the only for the reducing the time at by the for the reading of the data, we have bring the gold layer because it will store the data as the aggregated layer,
Yes.
and directly we can read it at the. If suppose we don't want this and we are just reading the data directly, aggregate data is not required. Then we have to connect a silver layer only, right, sir?
Yes. See, it's underlying is the storage. That's it. It's a path.
Hmm.
Okay. We'll see
Yeah,
once we see the example, right? Then you can
yeah,
understand the thing. Okay.
yeah. Because it will increase the infrastructure cost if we go with this.
Yeah. No, infrastructure cost is not going to do here because there is a lot of advantages with this. Okay. I'll tell
Okay.
you. And it enables incremental ETL. Okay. We are going to combine both streaming and batch workloads here. So it's a unified pipeline. So I can get the batch data to the branch table, or I can get the streaming data, and I can apply this architecture on top of that. So it can recreate your tables from raw data at any time. So you have a raw data here, so you can create any number, any times you can recreate your tables by using raw data. You don't need to go and get the data from the source. You have the exact copy already in the raw data table. So whatever the use cases, suppose tomorrow I need to have some other use case, or I want to do some machine learning, or I want to do some UIT, then you can get the data from the raw table instead of going and getting the data from the source. You have all the replica here, so you can use that data. So these are the few benefits of Mendelian architecture. So now let me go here. Let me run this. Okay, let me just run the classroom setup first. Okay, I'm going to run this classroom setup. So before this Delta architecture came, we have a called Lambda architecture. So Lambda architecture, have you heard about Lambda architecture any time?
No, sir. Lambda function only I had.
Okay. So Lambda architecture is nothing but nothing is if you rotate this symbol like up this side, if you rotate this one, it will become Lambda, right? So what is Lambda in the sense? Before we Lambda architecture was available. So what this Lambda architecture will do? If you want to do the batch processing, you should have the separate pipeline. And if you want to do the streaming data, you have a separate pipeline. At the end of the business, they are going to combine both stream data and batch data, and they're going to publish the dashboards. Suppose your dashboard has want the data from the streaming or want the data from the batch from both data, then what happens? Sometimes batch get with delay, sometimes streaming will get delayed. So it is very complex for them to handle two pipelines, and it is very difficult to combine both batch data and real-time data for us to publish some dashboards. So if any delay in streaming or batch, your dashboards will get delayed. And even if you want to publish the reports every second or every minute or every 10 minutes, then this scenario is going to fail because either batch might delay or streaming might delay. So there is a lot of chances. So in order to overcome, they brought this Delta architecture, which they have combined both streaming and batch data, and they are going to have the raw data, and then query tables is nothing but silver, summary table is nothing but gold table. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this thing. Let me just remove this thing. Okay. So I'm going to use this base path and branch table. I'm going to create three layers. One is for a branch table, So I'm going to store all the data which belongs to the bronze, and I'm going to store the data which belongs to silver, and this is the gold path, and this is for checkpoint, and then this is where I'm going to get the database path. So let me set this relevant notebook path. So now what I'm going to do, this is the user defined schema for the JSON file which I'm getting. So I'm just kept this file. Okay. Now I am going to read. So I'm going to use Kafka here. So I am going to read the data from the Kafka by using Kafka. So spark.read stream is fine. So we know if you want to read batch, you are going to use spark.read. If you are going to use streaming, then it's spark.read stream. Format Kafka. So I'm going to read the data from the Kafka subscriber. So I am going to use for Kafka. Mummy is over. No, class. Okay, so for reading the data from the Kafka, we need the connection. So for that, you need to get Bootstrap server from the source system, and we need subscriber from which subscriber we are going to read the data. So you need these details. You need to get these details from the source system. So source systems, you need to ask, okay, please provide me the Bootstrap servers and port number, and from which subscription I need to read the data. So they will provide you these details. Once you do, you can use spark.readstream Kafka, and you can read the data for the subscription where it belongs to English dot load. Now I'm going to apply some transformations here. And finally, I'm going to write the data to write stream, format delta, and checkpoint location. So it is going to capture the data which belongs to the stream, state, SQL state, and then output mode is equal to append. So if the data will be keep on appending and start. So either you can use start means you can store into your own path. If you use load, it is going to load the data into specific location. So now I'm going to read the data from the Kafka here. I'm going to apply some transformations, and finally I'm writing the data into bronze here. Let me run this. So from source, I get the data. This is how. So let it run. It is installing the Spark now. Streaming. Let it initialize. It will take 1 or few seconds. We need to get that ID. Then only the Spark job, streaming Java has been initialized. So let it initialize. So here I'm just reading the data from the bronze table. So let me remove this. So this is not required. This code I have given for. And then here I am going to create the bronze table from the bronze, that is Wikipedia art. So I'm just creating the table called bronze table from this location. So I'm going to store the data this to bronze location, right? So I'm going to create the table. So let me run this. I'm going to create the table. I think this has to be initialized the ID. We should get ID. Then only we can, the job has been initialized. Otherwise this job will keep on running. because this is due to single node, it is taking much time, guys. So we need to wait for that. I think this table has been created. Good. Now let me see the data in this table. If the data has been loaded, it's well and good. This is still running. Let it run. Because still the data has been not loaded to this table. That is why this one.
Sir, 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you scroll up, sir?
Yeah.
So, sir, here what we are doing, we are creating a data frame, or we are loading the data into some Parquet file. What we are doing actually, sir?
Directly, I'm going to read the data from the source system. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
After this is the read part,
Okay, sir.
and this is the transformation I'm doing. Just some transformation, just adding some column to the
Okay.
existing,
Hmm.
and then I'm writing the data to this branch part directly. I'm not storing into any data frame. I'm reading continuously, applying
Mm-hmm.
transformations, and I'm writing the data to the branch path.
And in which format this data is getting written? Okay, whatever data is coming in. Okay,
See, you
data.
can read any format,
Yeah,
CSV,
delta
JSON, whatever it might be, but I'm going to
delta
write in the Delta format.
delta format we are writing,
Okay.
and then we are making it into the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this table has it will be created. Let me see if the data has been.
View not found.
So this already table is there. Okay. So just need to let me create one table with one. Let me see why this is not running. We cancel this. Let me cancel this because there is some issue with this cluster for last 2 days. I can see this computation cluster has some issue, guys. That is the problem. Let me just what I can do, right? Let me just delete this. Stop.
So check the versioning. Yeah, might be this is the problem.
Yeah, I'll give lower version. Sometimes what happened, right? That current management versions, sometimes they will do some kind of practice and they will test something. Just clean up this thing. See, just classroom setup, it is taking huge time. There is some issue with the cluster today. I run this schema. Let me run this code. It is okay. It is done. 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 It did create this one. So here we should get ID, then only that has been written. So let me see if I can create table. Let it get ID, then only we can create. If it is not getting ID, right, then there is no point. Let me see if all the IDs or active any ID got generated here. So we'll wait until this get ID gets created, guys. Otherwise, we can't, because the data should be returned to this branch, but then only we can create the table. Because the cluster is very slow, so because of that, it's taking time.
Okay, sir.
Because until we get that streaming ID here, the data will be not be returned to this branch path. Even we can see the data is written or not by using display command we can use. We try to create table. We'll see whether any luck. Because the data is not written. Things format
Mhm.
branch.
Bunch. Sir, if suppose something is not working here and this error is coming, analyze exception. Sir, this is produced by Databricks for the Spark language, or this is created by Python actually?
No, this is Spark code, Spark error.
Spark error.
Yeah, it is going to
Because
provide you a site. It's not Python error. If it is any indented issue, then
Mhm.
if you have written Python code, then it will show the indent issue. But if it is purely Spark, then it will show the Spark error for you. This is purely Spark. Showing
Yeah.
analysis traceback most recent call like database Spark by session PyY. So the Spark session is not getting the data for this. Not going to get the return value because there is no data returned to that path so far. See, wait until the stream is done initializing before running the cell. So we need to wait until this gets initialized. So we'll get some ID here. So we need to wait for that. Not sure why it is getting, might be some issue with the cluster, or
Maybe this time load is.
it's not about load, might be something they are doing from the Databricks side. Sometimes they will do maintenance for because this is early morning to them. Mostly
Okay.
this database computation they will do at midnight or
Mhm.
early in the morning they will do. So sometimes it might be down as well. Still, sometimes you can't create the clusters as well in
Yeah,
computation.
yeah. I faced this problems earlier.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so this is how. So I'm going to create the table here. So I'll get another example. Okay, tomorrow, and then I'll create table for that. So I will read the data from the branch table. Okay, and I'm
Mhm.
going to select only the columns which is required, and I'm going to write the data to the silver table again here. Okay, from silver table, I'll read the data from the silver table. I'm going to do some filter operations, and I'm going to apply group by operations based
Agree.
on my business country. And then I'm going to store this data into data frame. So now this data can be written to any location. If you use display command, I can view that displays. Okay. So this is how we are going to segregate between bronze, silver, and gold tables.
Sir, what is the time gap will be there between like up to date data kind of?
No, these jobs will be keep on running for you continuously. It is going to
Okay.
read the streaming job. This is streaming job.
Mm-hmm.
If you go for batch, you need to use spark.read and you can read the data, you can store the data frame, and you can write the data to branch table, and then you can read from the branch table. So that is a batch. So you can do that as a one-time activity. Or
So
one,
this will
yeah,
keep on adding our data to our the gold
branch
data
table.
frame, right,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah, yes. It will be keep on adding.
At the gold data frame.
Yes, finally at the goal data frame. These all jobs will be continuously running for you. Okay.
So whoever is reading the data, he should have the capability to refresh his data every some interval, right, sir?
Yeah, if it is a batch, it's an interval. If it is real-time streaming, the data will be continuously streaming for him for them.
Hmm.
Okay, you can read the data here. After reading, you can store the data into data frame, and then you can write the data to branch table here. Okay, from the branch table, you can again read the data from the. They are doing some kind of uh, transformations here, and from branch table, you can read the data. You can apply some transformations, and finally, we can load the data into, you can store this one. So this data will be written back to the silver path, and from silver path, from silver, you are going to read the data again. We're going to apply transformations. Finally, we're going to read the data to some uh, to the gold table, gold path. So the gold table will be created here, and this table will be used for visualization. Okay. So this is the logic. Whatever they go, the same thing. Let me try to run this notebook. If I can run this notebook, it's well and good. Because I have 4 or 5 examples. So if one is not working, because this is some issue with the Databricks side. So let me just run this one and see whether we can at least run this. Let me run the classroom setup first. Let me cancel that query which I'm running so that it won't take more memory. Yeah, this is done. Let me set the path for bronze, silver, and gold. Let me apply schema here. So let me run this code to read the data from the source. Here I'm just using format JSON. So I'm going to read the JSON data here. I'm not going to connect to any um, Kafka or anything. So I'm going to read the data. Finally, I'm going to write the data to the branch path here. Let me write the data to the branch path. So streaming has been initialized here. Let me cancel this thing. It's initialized here. So this will be keep on running. So let me cancel this. If Spark job is running, we'll wait until this ID gets created here. Yeah, now I got the ID. So there is some issue with this with the Kafka, I think. Okay. So we'll go with this example. Now I am going to create the table for this. So I'm going to create the table for this. There is a branch path. So I'm going to, one second guys. So I have written the data to the branch path here. Now from the branch path, I'll read the data from the branch path. And if you see the data in the branch path, so what is my branch path? So I can create table for this branch path by using create table command we can use. So if you want to see the data in the branch path, you can go and use this code Spark create table. Let me create table and show you the data. Let me use this path, format active branch path. Now my table is created. Okay, you can see the data from the branch path now. SQL text star from this table. So it is equal to 5. Let me run this so I can see at least. So I have this data now. So I have this data. So now what I'm going to do here, this is the raw data. So from the raw data, I'm going to read the data from the raw. I'm going to read the data from the branch, and I'm going to apply only the transformation which is required for my thing. I'm going to select only the columns. And then I'm going to do the join. So they are going to do the join for this data frame. They're going to read some Parquet file data, and they are joining this. So to join that operation, they are using this code. So I'm going to use the join there, join operation on this lookup for the country. So now I have read the data from the branch. I have applied the transformations. I have stored this in the data frame. Now I'm going to write this data back to silver path. Let me run this. Now the streaming job will be initialized. So this will be keep on running this job. So this job will be keep on running for you. This streaming. So it is keep on reading the data from the source and it is going to write the data to the branch table. And this job will be keep on reading the data from the branch and it is going to write the data to the silver table. So you need to get ID here. So let's get the ID.
Sir, so if this cluster is getting used continuously, so this will not die, I believe, right, sir?
Not.
I mean, like we see that whenever we create the cluster, if we don't and if we don't use it for a couple of hours, it will get die in the
Yeah,
database.
if it is running, then it won't stop because if a cluster is ideal for 2 hours, then it will stop as per the rule. But this job is running, right? So we are using this cluster. So this cluster won't stop. It will be run 24/7.
Okay, okay. Keep on running, sir.
Yeah. So now let me create the bronze table and see the data, silver table. So let me create the silver table for you. Okay, so now I have written the data to the silver table. Now the silver table will have proper data. So I can use this silver table path. Start from PDF. Let me run this. So now I have the data, proper data. Okay, with city, country code, all these things. Now I'm going to read the data from the silver. I'm going to do some group by operations here. And then I'm going to drop some column and I'm going to find the data, finally write the data to this code path. Let me write this data into some data frame. Or what we can do here, they're creating, okay, they're creating table. That is also fine. Let me run this. This is also going to, here I'm going to read data from the silver and I'm going to write the data to the bronze path, gold path directly. Right now, so if you see all these 3 jobs will be continuously running. So now this job is running, it is reading the data from the bronze and it is writing the silver. And here it is reading the data from the source and it is writing the data to the branch path. So this job will be continuously running 24/7. If anything has been failed, when you restart, this checkpoint will make sure that the data loss won't happen for you. So let it initialize the ID. So we need to get ID. Okay. So now I got the ID here. Now let me create group table, gold table for this. Yeah. Now I am going to do the select star from this. So now I got, let me get this. Let me go here, visualization, bars. So I need to select the data here, country code, group by count, something. We need to have the proper thing here. No, let me not do this. So I have this data. So for India, I have 440 counts and it is 12 hours. This is the time difference like we have. Now if you go here, so you can, they are going to ask you to create the view. So they're going to read the data from silver path. They're going to create a replace query table here they're doing. So you can do this thing, 1 second. They have some exercise here. This is fine. Branch path they're doing. Okay. Okay, guys, this is how the 3 layers will work for us. So you just need to have this customized plot and you select like greater than and value count. So you group by operations like this. So you can you can get all these operations for you. Let's see whether I can do that. I need to add this visualization, so that is fine for us. So if you see now, I have how many records I have? I have 70 rows now. If I run this, might be the data will get increased as well sometimes if the data is coming. Yeah, we have limited data for this. That is fine. So this is how the streaming jobs will look. This data will be used for visualization further. So any questions here from anyone?
No, sir. We need to practice on this, then we can
Yeah,
come up.
you just practice this thing. Okay.
Sir,
So
from which folder you have taken this one Delta architecture notebook?
this I have uploaded in the your same notebook. Okay. In the
Delta
same notebook, in the same here, the Spark Delta workshop. Here itself, I have uploaded the Delta Lake architecture diagram for you.
Delta Lake architecture. Okay. There is
Okay.
one more 07 architecture, and this is Delta Lake
Yeah,
architecture.
yeah. And this capstone project is for you guys. Okay. You can
Okay, sir.
practice that as well. That solution is also available. And if you want more, you have the same thing here as well. So if I go here, so there is a structured query here. So we'll see what is the structured query, streaming query. Yeah. Here they're reading the data. So this is not the architecture. They're reading the data. They're appending something. This is not the our bronze silver layer architecture. Okay. You can use the two notebooks. You have total three use cases.
Hmm.
One you can find here, this architecture one which I have shown you. Okay, here the seventh one, and capstone project is for you. So you have solution here in the capstone and this delta lake architecture. So tomorrow we'll see about these two things. Okay,
Okay.
this is simple straightforward. We'll see these
Hmm.
two features. So any question from anyone?
No, sir.
Yeah, we'll have class tomorrow again. Okay,
Okay, sir.
thanks guys.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.